so they have it. But I forgot Catherine.
Is the parade route listed on their email?
No, I don't think I see anything at that point, but I'm gonna guess similar to last year's, really from the school to the Legends.
I would think we're just approving a parade, and that the parade route can be worked out later.
Right.
Well, Julian might know, wouldn't he? Is he on the grad committee too?
Wow, this seems like parents here with it. So we'll talk about it, but we're live here. So, and actually it is 6:30. So with that, welcome to the City of Warman's regular meeting of council on this 10th day of May, 2021. I now call this meeting to order. Looking for a motion for the agenda. Councillor Peterson.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the Monday, May 10th, 2021 regular meeting of council agenda as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Beck. Any additions? I did mention, I'm going to mention in the public meeting that I will bring up about the graduation letter we just received about a half an hour ago, but we'll at least bring it up to talk about it at a high level. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, I'll go back to announcements if anybody has any announcements. Sorry about that. Okay, move down to minutes. Motion for minutes. Councillor C.
Move to adopt the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting on April 19th, 2021, and the regular meeting of council on April 26th, 2021, as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Johnson. Any questions, comments?
No, but I think City Manager Smith had an announcement, maybe. He popped on.
Okay, I'll go right after. Anything with this one there, Manager Smith?
With this particular, just the announcement was, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of census. It's very, very important to have the census forms filled out. We get a lot of money from the senior levels of government in regards to our population numbers. So I think I just wanted, hopefully everybody's received one. If you haven't received a form, and maybe council can help get that message out as well, that we would certainly ask that you contact City Hall if you haven't gotten a form yet, and we'll make sure that you get one. And for everybody else, I think it's May 11th is to have it submitted back by, so be sure and get it filled out and sent back. And it's, again, I can't stress how important it is for us to make sure that our numbers are correct, because we do get funding from the governments based on our census. So thanks very much, Your Worship.
Okay, you're welcome. And I was going to bring that up in the mayor. I have a few items like that, but if we have more discussion on census, maybe we'll do it during our roundtable. If there's anything else. Anything else with the minutes? I just want to mention that just seeing the work that City Clerk Armstrong has done with the Committee of the Whole ones, like, they are a great read. There's so much information there. It just catches you right back to where you were. So we're very lucky. The regular council ones are fairly bland in the sense that they just are motions and yes or no, but there's a lot of insight and gives you right up to date. And if anybody's asking about an issue, they can go to the Committee of the Whole minutes and really see that. So I appreciate all the effort put in there and all the detail. With that, all those in favor of the minutes? Carried. Okay, we will move down to admin reports. We'll start with our planning manager.
Thank you, Mayor Philipchuk, members of council. Just one item for discussion tonight, and it's related to an RFP for the design of Lift Station 3. At the regular council meeting held on September 14th, 2020, council passed a motion to authorize administration to create an RFP and advertise it for the design of Lift Station 3. The city had identified this lift station as a pinch point during heavy rainfalls and identified it in the 10-year capital plan as an asset which needed reconstruction to meet current demand. With the number of provincial and federal infrastructure programs being offered, administration thought it would be prudent to have design complete and be shovel ready. This was to take advantage of any programs which may contribute to the capital cost to construct. The city created an RFP with some input from engineering and advertised it on Sask tenders beginning March 19th, closing April 9th. The city received 7 proposals. They were from Associated Engineering, KGS Engineering, WSP Engineering, AECOM, BCL Engineering, Catalar and Wright, and MPE Engineering. Administration reviewed the proposals and scored them using the criteria shown to council. Administration averaged their scores to determine the final allocation summary. In review of the proposal submitted, it was our opinion that Associated Engineers scored the highest and also had the lowest bid price of $76,350. This price was below our budgeted estimates based on 8 to 10% of construction value. We were considering anywhere from 120 to 150,000 based on a $1.5 to $2 million lift station. The other top 4 proponents ranged in price from $90,880 to $109,420. The bottom 2 proposals' pricing was too far out of range to make up enough points with their proposal to be in the running. Associated Engineering scored high for their experience and ability to complete the project. In addition, they also brought a good local team with good methodology and scored high across the board. They've designed a number of lift stations in different communities, and administration has no concerns with them having the capacity to complete the project. Administration has provided a few options for council to consider. I would also just like to point out, I made one error within my recommendation. We're recommending that this come out of the sewage lagoon reserve and not the contingency reserve. So that would be a change that I would recommend for council within the motion. And I guess I'll leave it at that if there's any questions.
I guess we'll start with a motion so we can discuss it. Motion, Councillor Johnson.
I move that the contract for the design of Lift Station 3 be awarded to Associated Engineering for a bid price of $76,350. Further, that these funds over and above the budgeted amount be drawn from the sewage lagoon reserve.
Seconder. Councillor Seed, questions? Councillor Ramage? Yeah.
Thanks very much, Mayor Philipchuk. Manager Toth, just a quick question about the prices and the scope. I just want to make sure that the scope that was included with Associated Engineering is similar and comparable to the others. Just with that price difference, making sure that everything that we need is in there and limits our risk for any scope changes.
Yes, so obviously it was a public RFP. The same scope was sent to all of the consultants. Basically, it's for the design of the lift station to take us to tender-ready documents. This doesn't include any project management or during the construction phases of it. Basically, the top 4 were fairly tight in price, leading me to believe that the scope was fairly clear. The bottom 3 were a little out in terms of their pricing, but we're fairly confident that the scope that sent out was clear, concise, and all firms kind of read into it the same way, I guess.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Councillor Beck, did you? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So just my question, just in terms of like the motion and the material here provided, Brad, certainly like in the motion, it says further that these funds, let's say over and above the budgeted amount, be drawn from and we're recommending like the sewage, and lagoon fund. With this here, what is our base with this year? Like what? Like isn't that actually higher than our 76,000?
Sorry, I'm not quite understanding the question.
So with this, okay, so like we're saying that further that the funds over and above the budgeted amount. Yeah. So I take it that let me just ask what actually is our budget that we approved in our budget at the beginning of the year for this.
So actually, this item was not budgeted for, and part of the reason for that was because it was a special motion that was passed at council in 2020. It took me a little longer just in terms of working out some of the scope and components within the RFP to kind of get everything together and get it out to public. So we did go out a little later than anticipated, but we didn't budget for this item at the time because we weren't sure, I guess, where the new council would be at once they've had a chance to review it. So that is the intent of the Sewage Lagoon Reserve, is to fund these capital projects. And because it's an identified project within our 10-year capital plan, we felt confident bringing it forward to council with the recommendations to draw those funds just for design from that reserve for the time being.
Yeah, this year, thank you very much. Yeah, because with this year, I was certainly wondering, let's say if the, let's say if that base was, let's say 50,000, and this year being 75, or let's say 76, that other 26,000 was going to come out of this. But nope. Thank you very much for answering my question on that.
Yeah, and apologies, the wording in the recommendation is a little misleading just in terms of above the budgeted amount. Definitely probably could have looked at the wording a little differently there. So apologies for any confusion.
Thank you.
Councillor Peterson.
So Brad, taking the money from the Sewage Lagoon Reserve for this project, is there any issues with any other work that's anticipated needed with the Sewage Lagoon project or anything else?
No, in fact, the city manager and myself had a conversation with our finance manager near the end of the day. She's very confident that there's more than enough funds to cover this design of this project, as well as the other projects which we've already either got ongoing or planned within the 10-year capital.
Okay, and City Manager Smith, you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to add that it's basically we call it the Sewage Lagoon Reserve, but it's actually a sewage reserve. So we do take other things out of it, like lift stations, etc. It all goes into that one reserve. Sorry.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? Oh, carried.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to file admin reports. Councillor Peterson.
I'd like to make the motion that the administrative reports for Monday, May 10th, 2021 be filed as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Johnson. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. We'll move down to my report, and I have a few additions. Now I'm starting to find that it's a lot different when you have to have it done a week ahead of time. So a couple things that I have there. Any questions from the written report? Anything from there? Okay. Well, first of all, I want to mention it's National Public Works Week. And I had a chance to go take a picture and leave some donuts on behalf of council and myself and all the city employees over at Public Works today. And they were quite excited to get the donuts. We didn't have enough on first run, but we made sure we got enough on the second run. So it is Public Works Week. Make sure, when you probably see some posts coming out from our communications, we'll try and get that out. And as we're so lucky to have them as a part of our team and doing such a great job. City Manager Smith has already mentioned census. The question I had, and the one that we want to really make sure we get clarified, is what about people that are living in suites or living in places that they maybe didn't get anything directly to them? We want to make sure they're counted, or even secondary places within. So I think it's important that with census May 11th, Bob City Manager Smith has mentioned that if there's questions like that, people are saying, where do I go? If they have questions about the census itself, there's a 1-800 number, but if it's actually they didn't get a census, then we're trying to help them find that password they need to be able to log in. And we're trying to get a little bit clarification on some of that as far as the scope within one dwelling or not. Also, today on the recommendation, or a little bit of a push from from our fire chief. We have challenged Martinsville, and they have accepted the challenge to see who can do a one-day most COVID shots, stick it to COVID. So on Thursday is their walk-in clinic. And then on Saturday is our drive-through clinic. So, and really we're getting down. I know my son can actually go on the Saturday one. So that's telling you we're already down to that 26 range. So we're moving through quick. Every few days we're going down and down. So next 2 weeks from now, it'll be the teenagers too. So we'll try and get that out. We're promoted. I want to make sure that everybody knew that that's happening. Aaron came and got a video of the challenge, and Kent has accepted. I reached out to him. And the other one I want to mention is the email that we got just before here about Warman grad. And I know that, I don't know if Julian has anything else to add with this, but I think this is a parent request. And I actually asked right to her, and I sent her a text, and the response was that they're really looking the same approval as last year, that they're able to have a parade and they're able to do fireworks and use the parking lot at the Legends. There are more components because the school is going to be doing something. They are doing, by something, they're going to be having a drive-through and at the football field. Some of those details, I don't know all the details at this point. And as I said, we just got this 5-2, but I noticed on there they wanted an answer by May 20th. And so I guess I want to reach out to City Manager Smith too, that if there's any concerns from that vantage point. The date, by the way, is June 11th. So most years that would be a bad weekend for something like this because it'd be rodeo weekend. The only thing I can think of that might be a challenge, we mentioned that before, might be with if we have COVID shots that day at the fire hall, that we might have a bit of a challenge with that. So I don't know the details on that particular day or not, but I want to throw that out, that might be the only thing that came to mind. And I'm sure not looking for any blanket statement with this unless, I guess open it up for discussion with this. If there's any questions or comments or any direction or questions we want to give City Manager Smith. I know this is something that we can give a recommendation, but to actually pass it, we need to have a motion. That may happen after the fact, but we can, I guess we can give a directive to City Manager Smith this week if people need more questions answered. So any questions that, Councillor C.
What costs, if any, beyond requesting an RCMP officer, front and back of the parade to lead it, does the city look at experiencing with this? I.e., are the fireworks our responsibility? Is that covered by the school? And are there any other additional costs that you've experienced or that the city's experienced in the past for events like this?
City Manager Smith, do you have anything to add with that? I know they didn't do fireworks last year, so I don't think they're looking at any cost, but I'll let City Manager Smith if there was cost to the city last year.
No, they did anytime any other organization does the fireworks, they kind of do that on their own, unless the city's doing it, then it's our cost. The only real cost that we've had before in regards to like the last grad was just our manpower of putting out barricades and things like that to help with the parade route. But as a rule, we put them out, kind of the day before or the day of, depending on the time. And volunteers put them up, take them down, and then we collect them at the end of the day or after the event. Really, that's about, our cost.
Thank you.
Any other questions or? Yes, Councillor Beck.
Yeah. Certainly one of the flexibilities that I had put into the motion that, that we had done last year was for, City Manager Smith, to be able to determine what the parade route would, let's say would certainly be. And maybe that's some flexibility that we should, certainly keep in whatever spirit of the motion here that we do put forward. Certainly understanding that, certainly if COVID vaccinations were to happen, that City Manager Smith could let's say alter that, let's say that parade route and, to certainly reflect certainly the like the trying times that we still find ourselves in, this particular school year. So, that would certainly be a word of encouragement, for that flexibility to be built into the motion.
Okay, and that one that I reached out to Tammy Pauls about was for the city. So they're looking for approval to organize a parade and the fireworks, all following the health guidelines of the day. So I mean, and again, we just don't know where they'll be at that point, but they have to be followed. Safety is first, and there's no bend on that in any way. But that was something I at least reached out to say, is that what they're looking at? And they also mentioned the parking lot. So yes.
Yeah. And certainly, it's like the health component there that's outlined. Could be like social distancing. It could be, let's say, like the number of people that are there. But certainly in terms of like the actual route, and that kind of thing, I think still our administration maintaining the let's call it the hammer on that. Let's say like the final decision. I think is really important. To certainly have in there. Just so that way there we can certainly react to those kind of things.
And again, I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up on short notice, but it's the timeline, and I think in the spirit of it, I think we've seen our teenagers go through another year that of so much uncertainty that I think as a city we want to show support where we can. Again, knowing that it's not costly, and we want to celebrate all of their adversity they dealt with this year. But I want to do it in a way that is followed the right protocol. Councillor Peterson.
I'll make the motion that we approve in general the a parade, use of a parking lot, and fireworks, with the details to be worked out by City Manager Smith and his staff.
Seconder for that? Councillor Tooley. Any other questions or comments about this? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that's all with my report. If there's no other questions, Julian, I'll let you. Do you have any comments?
I have nothing in particular to say. I'm definitely excited if we can get some sort of semblance of, regular life, like a regular sort of grad would be pretty nice. But if we can get it to look in any way similar, I'll be happy. So,
okay,
yeah.
And that was another question I actually asked her, was the contingency plan if it's bad weather. And they said maybe looking at a tent, because there really is no, they're looking at 150 to be allowed for an outside celebration, but not an inside one at this point. So, so they're maybe looking at the possibility of that, again, all on their cost, but they said they've done fundraising. They haven't really put anything down for that yet, though. So I feel for them, and again, it is a challenge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Any questions for Julian? Yes, Councillor Tooley.
Actually, not necessarily a question for Julian, more just a quick congratulations. I understand that there was of the students that were nominated by the teaching staff for the school, or the class valedictorian for the grade 12 students. I believe Julian was the successful student that was selected, so by the student body. So congratulations, Julian.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's great. Congratulations, Julian. It's a great honor.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Julian? Okay, looking then for a motion to file mayor's report. Councillor Tooley.
I move that the mayor's report for Monday, May 10th, 2021 be filed as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Seed. Questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll go to roundtable. We'll start with Councillor Beck.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mayor Philipchuk. One update to bring forward is the municipalities of Saskatchewan. Well, this year there will be a formal motion brought forward for our entire membership to have a vote on. This will be basically a virtual event, the details of which will be presented to members on June 1st. And that will basically, let's say highlight, let's say like the pros, and also, certainly throw out there, some of the, let's say some of the cons, in terms of the name change and the discussion around that. So that would be a virtual event scheduled for June 1st. And with that, the voting would remain open until June 3rd. So we're basically, let's say allowing, plenty of time for, for members to, to certainly have fruitful discussion over the certainly like the branding aspect, and to certainly discuss with their councils if it's, let's say like a majority vote, or how each council would like to approach that. But every member of municipalities of Saskatchewan will have the opportunity to vote. So so that will be taking place. We've also set a very high bar in terms of what it's going to take to pass this particular motion. I will tell you, we did look at several models, and this year we took a very high bar, in terms of making sure that we do have general support, so that they're being from the majority of our regions. And also to make sure that within those regions that there is majority support. So so this year, no particular one region or one member is going to hold, let's say more power than anybody else. It's going to be, certainly that high bar set, let's say across all of the member organizations, that certainly make up the association there. So I wanted to make sure that regardless of what summer plans that are certainly going to be put forward by yourself and family, that you certainly allow a little bit of time to take up that that time for the discussion, and certainly allow for a vote. Because this is very, very important in terms of branding our whole entire organization, and for the times ahead. So I wanted to make sure I gave ample weight to everybody to make sure that that we are taking that into consideration. Beyond that, that is everything that I have to present at this particular time. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Councillor Tooley.
I don't have a whole lot at this time. I'm just happy to see that the parent group has actually submitted something for the high school grad. Just given that I am one of those parents this year that's going to be having a graduating student. Looking forward to having some kind of celebration for them that gives at least a little bit of normalcy to the year, even though there's really been not a whole lot about this year that's been normal for them, or quite frankly last year too. So, and I'm not sure about next year, but outside of that, I just want to say that thank you to that parent group for getting that in, and looking forward to doing something to make that memorable for the students.
Thank you, Councillor.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Tooley. And next year will be normal. We need it to be normal. Councillor C.
Thank you, Mayor Felczak. There's still things are always ongoing in with the protective services end of things. I did have an opportunity to catch up with Chief Austin this morning. Just the general inquiries as to how are the guys doing, guys and girls. Sorry, how is his crew doing? They've got a couple of people that are off because kids have had potential contact with COVID cases. So out of an abundance of precaution, those members have elected to stay away from the fire hall. Chief Austin indicated that he has no concerns with regards to the ability to service the residents of Warman and surrounding area. He did highlight one aspect, and I think I'll just ask council to share it on even on your social media if you can, is that with the implement of the citywide fire ban, the precipitation in and around Saskatchewan, particularly Warman, even in the next couple of days, is extremely concerning. There's simply no rain being called for, and the barometric pressure is going to really affect the potential of a fire this week. So we can just be diligent and remind people that like any open flame source just can't happen. I know that Chief Austin is not somebody to raise the flag of alarm, and he's definitely concerned about this one. So we need to be certainly mindful about that. Vaccination clinic, as we've all seen, has been going spectacular. We had some phenomenal comments on social media, which were again shared, and I'm sure you've all seen, with regards to Warman's ability to take care of our clinic. And the funny part for us is that none of us are surprised because it's what we know, but it's remarkable for other communities. So I think we should all be proud about that. Did also follow up with regards to the regional fire chiefs meeting that was had, and Chief Austin attended. All good remarks out of that. I think that they've come up with a fairly solid game plan moving forward, and I think that that'll be shared in the future to come. Not anything we need to get into too much details here. I have also spoken to a couple of RCMP members that are encouraged by the new administration, if you will. By all indicates, again, the new staff sergeant is doing an excellent job, and I'm still receiving comments from the public about how many RCMP cars there are out and around, which is awesome, because everybody knows that I've probably been one of the biggest, I'll call it advocates, but I think it's pains in the butt about them being out there and being visible, and it really seems to be coming to fruition. So all in all, things are going the right way.
Thank you, Councillor C. Councillor Johnson.
I'm loving seeing the fountains being put in, kind of signs of spring, and the lines being painted in the intersection. So that's kind of a nice positive look on some of the dark times. As for myself, I went to the Saskatchewan Waste Reduction Council conference this past week. It was a 3-day conference that I had attended. Some amazing things were presented, and as far as sustainability in the construction realm, and some of the green cart programs and what they're doing throughout BC and into Regina as well. But it's nice knowing that we're kind of ahead of the game, and I always just kind of chuckle a little bit, and it's like, oh, good for you, Regina. We've been doing that for a little while now. So but it's amazing. I'm learning a ton, and I really appreciated that conference and being able to just listen to a lot of the things through Loris and through some of the first net zero multi-unit complex that was made out in Saskatoon. So kind of neat seeing that Saskatchewan's getting there as far as the environmental component. And that is about it for me right now. And just other than the planning committee for Prairie Rivers reconciliation, getting the agenda set and some budgeting stuff going for the fall conference.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Ramage.
A little bit later on a report for this meeting, but just would like to take a moment at this time with Public Works, with that week to recognize Public Works coming up. They do really play a really critical role in the quality of life. We've seen how well they've kept up during the blizzards in November and in the late spring, and just generally how they keep that sense of pride in our community by having clean streets and really good quality infrastructure that keeps everything moving. So hats off to them. They do a fantastic job, and they should be really proud of the work that they do. In terms of, I'll just bring up the census. Really important, particularly on a capital project side of things. A lot of our funding is going to be tied to the populations. This remarks have been made by Mayor Philipchuk and City Manager Smith. So just reiterate the importance of getting those completed. And that's everything for today.
Thank you, Councillor Ramage. Councillor Peterson.
Yeah, just a couple items. The first is I had a resident kind of inquire as to why the corner of Clubhouse and Augusta, right in front of the Legends Golf Course there, why it's only a 3-way stop as opposed to a 4-way stop. And I just maybe just get a reminder from Manager Toth as to why that move was made. I remember it was made a number of years ago. I think about 4 or 5 years ago, but I can't remember why that it was made that way.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of an awkward intersection, but it's been discussed kind of a number of times at council in terms of kind of doing the 3 versus the 4-way stop. On kind of both discussions, I think there might even be a formal resolution at one point where it was decided to kind of leave it the way it was in terms of the 3-way stop. I don't have a lot more information. Maybe Manager Smith remembers something else, but I can definitely take another look into it tomorrow too and get back to you with a more detailed answer.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I guess the other is that with, Councillor Johnson mentioning the signs of spring, one of the signs of spring that I've been seeing is a lot of our younger residents riding their bikes around town, but doing so in quite unsafe manners, like riding across intersections, riding across crosswalks instead of following the rules of the road, instead of walking their bikes across the crosswalks and stuff like that. And I would suggest that it might be a really great time of year to put out a post or two, whether it be in conjunction with the fire department or not, because I know they've done some things on bike safety in the past, but just on what the proper rules of the road are for bikes, and just to put out there as a reminder for parents to remind their children to how to ride their bikes safely.
We'll pass that on to Erin. She's already got a thumbs up with that. Erin, and also I agree that I know Chief Austin's done a lot of work in that area that just hasn't been able to happen with our current restrictions. So maybe it can be in conjunction with the schools too. And also with that 3-way stop, that's something that I know Councillor C can also bring up at the golf meeting, just to see where they stand with that right now too. Where just because it's one that seems to come up regularly there too, just so we're trying to be all together as we move forward with that one. And yes, Councillor C.
Just to gather a little bit more information on that, Councillor Peterson, was there specific concerns that were raised by the resident, or is it just why is it a 3-way stop, or is it traffic is coming out of one way and they feel that it should be a 4-way stop, or was there anything more specific?
Just a couple near misses the resident has had at that intersection because of, as he called it, the awkwardness of the intersection. And, just you come up to it expecting it to be a 4-way, and then it's a 3-way and you don't notice it, right? Is what he said. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move down to correspondence. And we just have the letter from Jeremy Harrison. And this was the letter written by the chamber and myself and on behalf of council about SIMP. I did follow up with a phone call to Stuart Lowe, as it said there I could. We ended up talking for about 90 minutes on some brainstorming ideas. And it looks like even at the municipalities of Saskatchewan, I know that that's actually going to be brought to executive, that Jeremy Harrison's going to be speaking at executive to municipalities of Saskatchewan. So I think it's one of those ones that has a bit of momentum now, but it's one that they like some of the comments that we made. And as they said, though, most of the things that we have here are 1 to 2 year processes before you actually see some of those changes. But I think it's having the conversations, and Stuart's very open to that. And I brought it up from maybe discussing at a city mayor's caucus, and I know municipalities in Saskatchewan are going to start with the executive right now. Any other comments about this letter? Councillor Ramage.
Thank you, Mayor Philipchuk. And this is a really encouraging letter, and I think there's a really good opportunity for the city and the chamber to provide that input at the ground level, and having that understanding of how this program could be improved. But really what I'd like to do is thank the chamber for their leadership and initiative on leading this, and to the city staff for helping to support that. I think it is an important issue, and it's only going to lead to better outcomes for the province and for our city.
Thank you for that, Councillor Ramington. I actually did go meet Debbie Brown, the new executive director, and this was the one topic we talked about, because I thought you need to know about this one because it's fairly current, and so we had a bit of a discussion about that. So thanks for that reminder too. Anything else? Okay, a motion then to file. Councillor Seed.
Make the motion to move that the letter from Jeremy Harrison, the Minister of Immigration and Career Training, be filed as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Peterson. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move down to the turbidity report. Motion. Councillor Johnson.
I move that the turbidity report for April 2021 be filed as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Peterson. Any questions about it? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Carried. Motion for accounts. Councillor Tooley.
I'll make the motion that to approve the city accounts as presented by checks numbered 25,196 to 25,318 for the total amounts of $317,608.44, and the payroll vouchers numbered 12172 to 12236 in the amount of $94,877.66 for Monday, May 10th, 2021.
Seconder. Councillor Beck. Any questions from the accounts? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Tooley.
I'll also make the motion to adjourn the Monday, May 10th, 2021 regular meeting of council.
Seconder. Councillor Seed. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, so we will log out, and we have a presentation at 7:30, so 20 minutes. So if you log in, there's a different link for that.